You're never going to get an incisive question from a TikToker in large part because actually one of the things that was really interesting about that.
That is a brave statement to make, sir.
Well, I didn't finish my sentence, Alex, which is because by the time that you get your question out and you have a decent answer, the next person has already scrolled on. So, you're always going to have that big condensing of these narratives. And that's actually one of the things. This is the story that I've always wanted to report out, but nobody has ever commissioned me to do so. And I have tried it on every editor that I know, and I know a lot of editors. So all throughout the last 5 years or so, I have this grand theory about the fact that TikTok is damaging and collapsing the way that we understand the world because our narratives are becoming overly simplified, overly prescriptive into a handful of what we think of as ready to go viral structures. And so you end up with these so-called TikTok educators or science influencers or whatever who will dramatically simplify what has actually happened in history in order to try and make it an appealing TikTok. And by doing so, they misrepresent the actual reality of what's going on. You know this an awful lot in terms of like how journalism is embracing social media and TikTok. One of the reasons why journalists sometimes struggle on TikTok is that it involves some element of compromising how you tell a story neatly, I think.
Despite the fact you have literally written the book on TikTok, I think TikTok is a vehicle for complicated discussions, nuanced arguments, and a more broad spectrum of wider understanding of the difficult issues. I think if you're going to cross it over into mainstream narrative, it's going to be a song about trampolining rabbits made by AI, or it's going to be a subway take, or it's going to be those things. But to widen the understanding on a broad level to get towards network effect on the key issues. Take Gary Stevenson's view around wealth tax. That has now crossed over into mainstream policy discussion, if not actual policy. For Gary Stevenson, mainly YouTube, but also on TikTok, it has allowed that to happen. So in isolation, in one piece of content, of course, but when it comes to more broadly, you can get complicated questions, difficult answers, and TikTok is growing as a platform and emerging as a platform